Hello and welcome back. In this lecture, we will begin with the exploration of major geopolitical powers and their influence on global business. Our focus today is on, to start with, United States. So, in this module, we will be discussing the different major geopolitical powers, starting with this first lecture on United States. Here is what we will cover in today's lecture. We will cover things like historical context of US and Western alliances, then key geopolitical strategies and policies of this particular alliance, economic influence and trade relations. Also, very important to talk about when we talk of this major geopolitical power, that is US and Western allies. And then we'll be discussing some of the case studies demonstrating their impact on global business. So this is our agenda in this first part of this module 2. So let us start with some historical context to understand how the United States and its Western allies have shaped the global geopolitical landscape. After World War II, the United States emerged as a dominant global power, forming strategic alliances with Western European nations through organizations such as NATO and the European Union. These alliances were designed to promote economic stability, collective security, and political cooperation. The Marshall Plan, NATO, and the formation of EU were pivotal in establishing a stable and prosperous Western bloc, counterbalancing Soviet influence during so-called Cold War after World War II. With this historical foundation, let us delve into the key geopolitical strategies and policies that define the United States and its Western allies currently, in today's time. The United States and its allies focus on maintaining a rules-based international order. This involves promoting democracy, human rights, and free trade. The US uses a combination of diplomacy, economic aid, and military presence to influence global affairs. Key policies include the support of international institutions like the United Nations, World Bank, and International Monetary Fund. In short, we call it as IMF, which help maintain global stability and economic growth. Now, let us look at the economic influence and trade relations of United States and Western allies. Together, the US and Western Europe represent a significant portion of global economy. They are major players in international trade with robust markets and influential financial systems. Trade agreements such as NAFTA, now it is converted into so-called USMCA, and the Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership, that is TTIP, highlight their commitment to free trade. These economies are deeply interconnected through complex supply chains, investment flows, and technological exchanges, making them central to the global economic system. Finally, let us examine some case studies to see how the geopolitical influence of the United States and its Western allies impacts global business. So we will just talk about this case study, very simple description I will give you. These case studies you can download. Full note is available in the download section of this lecture, in the resource section. You can download, and based on these case studies, some questions will be posed later in the assignment that will be there in this module. So I will just talk about these case studies that you should download and read. The first case study is about the impact of US sanctions on Iran. These sanctions not only affect Iranian businesses, but also international companies operating in or with Iran, demonstrating the extraterritorial reach of US policies. Then the second case study that refers to the European Union's regulations on data privacy, so-called GDPR. This legislation has set a global standard affecting companies worldwide that handle European data. So this case study also you can download. These examples or the small case studies illustrate how the policies and actions of the United States and Western allies can have far-reaching consequences for businesses around the world. So in summary, we can say that the United States and its Western allies play a pivotal role in shaping global geopolitics and business environments. Their historical alliances, strategic policies, economic influence, and regulatory frameworks create a landscape that businesses must navigate carefully. Now, let us talk about the key takeaways we can get from today's lecture. The US and Western allies maintain a rule-based international order promoting democracy and free trade. That is what we talked about. The second thing we talked about refers to their economic influence that is vast with significant impact on global trade and financial systems. The third thing we can take it as key takeaway from today's lecture refers to the businesses worldwide are affected by the geopolitical strategies and regulatory frameworks of these powers. Thank you for joining me in this lecture. In our next lecture, we will explore the influence of another major geopolitical power, that is China. Until then, reflect on how the United States and its Western allies shape the business world you operate in. Read the case studies that I just mentioned about, download it, and read it thoroughly. See you next time. Hello and welcome back. In this lecture, we will explore China's global ambitions and their impact on geopolitics and international business. As one of the most influential geopolitical players today, China's strategies and policies are reshaping the global landscape. Here is what we'll cover in today's lecture. We'll cover things like historical context and the rise of China, key strategies and policies of China's global ambitions, economic influence and the Belt and Road Initiative. And we'll also talk about some examples or case studies demonstrating China's impact on global business. So let us start with some historical context to understand China's journey to becoming a global superpower, which it is today. China's rise began in earnest with economic reforms in the late 20th century under Deng Xiaoping. These reforms opened China to foreign investment and trade, spurring rapid economic growth. Over the past few decades, China has transformed from a largely agrarian society into the world's second largest economy. China's growth has been marked by significant investments in infrastructure, technology, and education, laying the foundation for its global ambitions. With this historical background, let's delve into the key strategies and policies that define China's global ambitions. China's global strategy is multifaceted, focusing on economic expansion, military modernization, and diplomatic influence. Central to this strategy is the concept of the Chinese dream, which seeks to rejuvenate the nation's historical significance and achieve prosperity, strength, and global respect. China's foreign policy emphasizes non-interference in other countries' affairs, economic partnerships, and promotion of a multipolar world order, countering Western dominance. One of the most significant components of China's global strategy is its economic influence, particularly through their Belt and Road Initiative, BRI. The Belt and Road Initiative, launched in 2013, aims to create a vast network of trade routes connecting Asia, Europe, and Africa. Through investments in infrastructure such as ports, railways, and highways, China seeks to enhance trade and stimulate economic growth across these regions. BRI is more than just infrastructure. It represents a strategic effort to extend China's economic and political influence globally. By investing in developing countries, China gains access to their natural resources, new markets, and strategic geopolitical footholds. To better understand China's impact on global business, let's examine some case studies. So, first case study I would like you to download from the download section, resource section of this lecture, refers to Huawei's global expansion. Huawei, a Chinese telecom giant, has become a leading provider of 5G technology. However, its expansion has faced resistance from countries concerned about their security and espionage risks, reflecting broader geopolitical tensions. Similarly, let us also talk about this case study too, that again refers to China's global ambitions, and you can download the same from the resource section of this lecture and read it thoroughly. This document is complete with all the information about this case study, and it refers to China's investment in Africa. China has invested heavily in African infrastructure and industry. While this has driven economic growth, it has also led to concerns about debt dependency and loss of sovereignty among African nations. These case studies or examples illustrate how China's economic strategies and investments can both drive development and spark geopolitical tensions and concerns. In summary, China's global ambitions are reshaping the geopolitical and business landscape. Through economic initiatives like Belt and Road Initiative, military modernization, and strategic diplomacy, China aims to position itself as a leading global power. Let us look at some of the key takeaways from what we have discussed in this lecture. China's rise as a global power is rooted in economic reforms and strategic investments. The Belt and Road Initiative exemplifies China's approach to extending its economic and geopolitical influence. China's strategies have significant implications for global business, creating opportunities as well as challenges. Thank you for joining me in this lecture. In our next lecture, we will explore the influence of Russia and its geopolitical strategies. Until then, consider how China's global ambitions might impact your business environment. By reading the case studies that I just referred to and downloading it from the resource section, you must read these case studies. Until then, see you in next lecture. Hello everyone and welcome back. In today's lecture, we will delve into Russia's geopolitical maneuvering. As a key player on the global stage, Russia's actions and strategies significantly influence international relations and business environments. Here, what we will cover in today's lecture are these things. The first thing we will be talking about the historical context, Russia's evolution as a global power. We will also be talking about key geopolitical strategies of Russia and also their economic and energy influence. And finally, we'll be also referring to some case studies or examples demonstrating Russia's impact on global politics and businesses. Let us start by understanding the historical context of Russia's geopolitical positioning. Russia's geopolitical influence can be traced back to the era of Russian Empire through the Soviet Union period and into its current status as Russian Federation. The dissolution of Soviet Union in 1991 marked a significant shift, leading to Russia to reassert its influence in the post-Soviet space and beyond. Under President Vladimir Putin, Russia has pursued a strategy of re-establishing its power through military, economic, and political means. With this historical background, let us explore the key geopolitical strategies that define Russia's maneuvers on the global stage. Russia's geopolitical strategies involve a combination of military strength, energy dominance, and political influence. The key strategies of Russia include military interventions and presence, control and influence over energy supplies, and strategic alliances and diplomatic efforts. Russia uses its military capabilities to project power, as seen in conflicts like those in Georgia, Ukraine, Crimea, and Syria. Energy dominance, particularly in natural gas and oil, is a crucial lever in its geopolitical toolkit. One of the most significant aspects of Russia's influence is its control over energy supplies, which has broad implications for global politics and business. Russia is one of the world's largest producers of oil and natural gas. Its state-controlled companies like Gazprom and Rosneft play a pivotal role in global energy market. By controlling energy supplies to Europe and other regions, Russia wields considerable geopolitical influence. Energy dependence on Russia's gas makes many European countries vulnerable to political pressures, influencing their foreign policy and economic decisions. To better understand Russia's impact on global geopolitics and business, let's examine some case studies that you can download from the resource section of this lecture and read it. I'll just refer to these two case studies. The first case study refers to the annexation of Crimea. In 2014, Russia's annexation of Crimea highlighted its willingness to use military force to achieve geopolitical goals. That was the first very major significant step. This move led to international sanctions impacting Russian businesses and global economy. The second case study that I want you to download from the resource section of this lecture refers to Nord Stream 2 pipeline. The Nord Stream 2 project, designed to transport natural gas from Russia to Germany, has been a focal point of geopolitical tension. The pipeline underscores Europe's energy dependency on Russia and has faced opposition from the United States and several European countries. These two case studies illustrate how Russia's geopolitical maneuvers create ripples across global politics and business landscape. Some of the key takeaways from whatever we have discussed in this particular lecture refers to Russia's geopolitical influence that is rooted in its historical evolution and strategic use of military and economic power. The second key takeaway is that the control over energy supplies in case of Russia is a critical tool for Russia's geopolitical maneuvers. Then third thing what we get from today's lecture is that the Russia's actions such as the annexation of Crimea and the current escalation of conflict with Ukraine and the Nord Stream 2 pipeline have significant implications for global politics and business. Thank you for joining me in this lecture. In our next lecture, we will explore the influence of the European Union and its role in global geopolitics. Until then, consider how Russia's strategies might impact your business environment by downloading these two case studies and reading it thoroughly. See you in the next lecture. Hello everyone and welcome back. In today's lecture, we will focus on the European Union's role in global geopolitics. The EU, with its unique political and economic union, plays a pivotal role on the world stage, influencing international relations and business environment. Here is what we will cover in today's lecture. We will talk about some overview of the European Union, the EU's geopolitical strategies, economic power and influence, case studies demonstrating the EU's global impact. Let us begin by understanding the structure and purpose of European Union. The European Union is a political and economic union of 27 member states located primarily in Europe. It was established by the Maastricht Treaty in 1993 and has since evolved into a complex entity with a wide range of functions and powers. The EU operates through a hybrid system of supranational and intergovernmental decision-making processes. Key institutions include the European Commission, the European Parliament, and the European Council. Now that we have a basic understanding of the EU, let us explore its geopolitical strategies. The EU employs a wide range of geopolitical strategies to promote stability, economic growth, and democratic values. Key strategies include things like economic integration and trade agreements, diplomatic and developmental aid, military and security alliances. Economic integration, exemplified by the single market and customs union, allows for the free movement of goods, services, capital, and the people. Trade agreements with countries around the world enhance the EU's economic reach. One of the EU's most significant tools is its economic power, which it uses to influence global policies and practices. The EU is one of the largest economic entities in the world with a GDP exceeding $15 trillion. This economic power enables the EU to wield significant influence through trade policies, sanctions, and financial aid. The euro, used by 19 of its member states, is the second most traded currency in the world. The EU's trade policies and agreements, such as those with Japan and Canada, set global standards and practices. To understand the EU's global impact, let us examine some case studies. These case studies I would like you to download from the resource section of this lecture and read it thoroughly. We will be having some questions that will be posed to you in the assignments in this particular module, and you are supposed to answer these questions based on your reading of these case studies. The first case study refers to the EU and Brexit. The United Kingdom's departure from EU, known as Brexit, has had profound implications for both the parties. It highlights the challenges and complexities of political and economic integration. Similarly, the second case study refers to the EU and climate policy. The EU has positioned itself as a global leader in climate change initiatives, influencing international agreements and policies such as Paris Agreement. These two case studies demonstrate the EU's ability to reshape global politics and address critical issues like climate change through its policies and initiatives. In summary, the European Union's role in global geopolitics is multifaceted, involving economic power, diplomatic efforts, and strategic alliances. Understanding the EU's strategies and their implications is crucial for navigating the global business environment. So, what are the key takeaways from what we discussed in today's lecture? The first thing is that the European Union is a major geopolitical entity with significant economic and political influence. Secondly, the EU's strategies include economic integration, diplomatic efforts, and security alliances. Case studies that we discussed, like Brexit and climate policy, illustrate the EU's impact on global politics and business. Thank you for joining me in this lecture. In the next lecture, we'll conclude on this module and we'll see what we can gather from this module. See you in the next lecture. Hello everyone and welcome to the concluding lecture of this second module, Major Geopolitical Powers and Their Influence. In this module, we have explored the roles and strategies of some of the world's most influential geopolitical powers. Let's recap the key insights we have gained and reflect on their implications for global business. In our first lecture, we examined the United States and its Western allies. We discussed about the US global influence through military, economic, and cultural power. We also discussed the role of NATO and other alliances in maintaining global stability. We also talked about the impact of US foreign policy on international trade and business environment. The United States and its allies continue to shape the global order through strategic partnerships and economic leadership. Next, in this module, we explored China's global ambitions. In this second lecture, we looked at things like China's Belt and Road Initiative and its efforts to expand influence through infrastructure and investment. We also talked about the economic strategies driving China's rise as a global superpower. And we also talked about the geopolitical tensions arising from China's growing assertiveness, particularly in South China Sea and its trade relationships. China's rapid development and strategic investments are reshaping the global economic landscape, that is for sure. Then we turned our focus to Russia. So in our third lecture of this module, we highlighted about Russia's use of energy resources as a tool for geopolitical influence, its military intervention and strategic importance of the regions like Ukraine and Syria, and the impact of sanctions and the complex relationship with Western nations. Russia's actions continue to challenge and redefine power dynamics in Eastern Europe and the Middle East. So in our fourth lecture in this module, we covered things like the EU's political and economic strategies for regional stability and global influence, the impact of economic integration and trade agreements, and we also talked about some of the case studies like Brexit and the EU's leadership in climate policy. The European Union remains a critical player in global geopolitics through its economic power and diplomatic initiatives. Now let us reflect on the global impact of these major powers. Each of these powers employs unique strategies to assert influence and navigate the complexities of global politics. Their interactions create a dynamic and often volatile geopolitical environment, influencing global markets, trade policies, and international relations. The actions of these major players have far-reaching consequences, shaping the opportunities and the challenges faced by businesses worldwide. So, what does this mean for international business? Understanding the geopolitical landscape is crucial for businesses operating globally. Key considerations are like navigating trade policies and economic sanctions, assessing risks and opportunities in different markets, and building strategic alliances and partnerships. Businesses must stay informed about geopolitical developments to make strategic decisions and remain competitive in the global market. As we conclude this module, let us look ahead to what is coming next. In the next module, that is module 3, we will explore the impacts of regional conflicts on global business. We will delve into specific case studies to understand how regional instability can affect international markets and business operations. Thank you for joining me in this module. I hope you have gained valuable insights into the influence of major geopolitical powers. Stay tuned for my next module, where we will be continuing to explore the intricate world of geopolitics and its impact on global business. See you in the next module.